Welcome back to the Snowpointcast. Today we're going to be watching a game between Trevore Read and the 2012 Seniors World Champion Chase Moloney, playing his Eels list that him and Trevor made against Igor Costa's Pesadelo Prism. So Chase is going to be on the left. He's playing Eels in the Stunfisk sleeves. Honestly, really dope sleeves. And then Trevor's going to be on the right with the white Kyurem, black Kyurem sleeves, playing Pesadelo Prism. So I've honestly never played this matchup before, but from what I saw, the matchup seemed like both sides had like some stuff they could do, but Eels definitely seemed a little bit more consistent. So they go for the flip, and Chase gets the win, so he's going to go first. Rips a DCE off the top of his deck, so it's actually pretty good. Also has got a level ball there, so looking pretty good on the turn one. He's going to level ball, probably just get a Dynamo. Yep, that makes a lot of sense. Setting up that Eel for next turn. Then he's probably just gonna slap on the DCE and swing. Yeah, there you go. That makes sense. And then he's gonna Juniper as well, get that Lightning in the discard, which is also really solid. Pretty decent turn one. And then he's gonna go for a dual ball as well. See if he can hit some heads here. Gets one tails, one heads. So I'm curious what he's gonna grab here. Maybe a second Dynamo. Yeah, that makes sense. Second Dynamo. Could also go for the Mewtwo here, depending on what his hand was. He does have a DCE in his hand, so if Trev does have the response here, then having that Mewtwo could be good, but I think the Dynamo is the safer play for sure, and it's just the better long-term play with this deck. Yeah, so Chase is going to go in for a fat swing for 80, maybe 100 if he plays that plus power that he's got in his hand. It's kind of good to just get it in the discard pile, because then all your junk arms are alive for plus power, so I think that's actually a good play there. So he goes in for the X-Ball for 100 on turn one. Chase's turn one is looking really chill here. He's got two Dynamos, a Zekrom on the bench, and a Mewtwo with the DCE. He's looking really chill, so Trevor's kind of going to be forced to respond here. He does have a pretty decent hand as well. Ultra Ball Double Dark is pretty much all you want to see on the first turn, to be honest. I mean, obviously some other things too, but Ultra Ball Double Dark is one of the best cards you can have on the turn one. So he's gonna go in with the Ultra Ball, probably find a Mewtwo, but maybe a Darkrai depending on what else is in his hand. I didn't see any Dark Patches, so maybe not gonna get a Darkrai. If he does have a Switch in his hand, so he might go for the Smeargle as well. Yeah, so he is gonna go for that Smeargle. I think this is a really solid play for sure. Get that Mewtwo out of there, get it out of threat of knockout, because Chase is just gonna take two prizes off that Mewtwo next turn if Trevor leaves it up there, and that is no good. Going down prizes and the Mewtwo wars are a really easy way to lose a game, especially when Eels sets up like this and they've got two Dynamo on the bench. So he's going to go for bench Smeargle switch. And then before he uses Portrait, he's going to put that Eviolite on the Mewtwo. And then he's going to Portrait, I believe. Yeah, so he Portraits and he uses a Pawnt. So just makes a lot of sense to Portrait before you play your own supporter, because then you can, if it's a shuffle back, you can shuffle back your own supporters and then have a higher likelihood of drawing them off of your opponent's supporter. Portrait's such a good ability. I love Portrait on a Smeargle. I wish they printed more abilities that let you, I mean, there's some abilities that Pokemon's printed, like Melodic, that lets you use your opponent's supporters in their hand, but other than the Melodic and Smeargle, there's not a lot of cards that let you use your opponent's supporters. I guess Gardevoir too, but yeah, going in with a Pawnt, going to draw 6. Then Trevor also has a supporter for turn here, so he could hit a pop-off turn. It's possible that he gets a counter KO with this Mewtwo if he gets DC, another switch, and a plus power. But we'll have to see what he hits off this Pawnt. I do see a DCE in the hand, and he does have a Pawnt as well, so he's pretty chill this turn. He's going to have a supporter for turn. So he drops a DCE, has a Terrakion in there as well, Junk Arms, the Terrakion, and the Random Receiver for a switch. Then he's going for that switch, and he's betting on hopefully hitting the plus power off of this. So, a little bit risky. There's only 2 plus powers in the deck, but very possible that this hits. But yeah, if he hits here, he's in a pretty chill position. If he misses, little bit dicey, but still not in an awful position either. Having a Smeargle on the bench, when your Mewtwo gets knocked out, kind of just sets you up for a easy counter KO with the Mewtwo. You got Scoop Up, Juniper, Darkrai. Oh yeah, doesn't really look like he hit it there. I think that was a Dark Energy off the top. So he goes for the Super Scoop Up, trying to heal this Mewtwo, and he misses. I believe that was a 3. Yeah, no, it's a 1. Yeah, so he misses. And Chase is really into that. And Trevor's gonna go for a Junk Arm here for the Scoop Up again, and he hits the head, so he takes that Mewtwo off the board. pretty chill. He's probably just going to bench it with the Eviolite because there's not a ton Chase can do against that. There is some stuff, but yeah, bench it with the Eviolite. Just sets it up to be safe because that DCE catcher plus power is a thing that can happen, especially with eels. You know, eels can go so aggressively because they have that energy recovery, so you can invest 2 DCEs. Even if that Mewtwo gets knocked out, taking that first prize is usually worth it. But Trevor knows the 2012 meta. He knows what to do. He knows that Eviolite is a really important card on Mewtwo, and he's playing this very, very, very optimally. And yeah, he's probably just going to pass here. Doesn't have much that he can do. This is me. I check out the Smeargle. I don't remember what I'm checking the attack on the Smeargle. Because I don't remember why, but I just didn't know what it was, and it's awful. It's like flip 2 coins, does 30 times the amount of heads. Really, really bad. So this is... I forget what happened here. Something happened where like Trevor messed up his stuff and we just like put it back, rearranged it. And Chase does have that, you know, DCE plus power, so he's gonna be taking a knockout on the Smeargle no matter what, but he's really gunning for that catcher. He really wants to hit that fresh Mewtwo if he can. Because then he's hitting it for 80, 140, and then the Zekrom might be able to take a knockout depending. So yeah, it depends what he's got here, but hitting for he's actually hitting for more than that. For 200, yeah, so he just needs to find the catcher, which could be really bad for Trev here. He's got 200 minus 20. Yeah, so he's going to be doing 180, which is exactly a knockout on the Mewtwo. And I believe Chase whiffed the catcher, otherwise he probably would have plopped it down. Kind of sucks, but still in a really decent position. Taking the first prize, even though it's a Smeargle. I mean, the fact that he's taking the first prize off the Smeargle kind of sucks because it's just a 1-prizer, and if Trevor doesn't bench another 1-prizer, which he won't because he's a good player that knows what a 7-prize game is, essentially it's just a wasted attack because even though Chase is going to take a prize, if Trevor only benches EX Pokemon, it's just not going to matter for the rest of the game. So we'll see what he's got here. Chase just looking through his discard pile. Discard pile is super important. He's probably got a junk arm here, and so he goes for the junk arm for the level ball. He's gonna be able to find an eel and start accelerating onto this second Mewtwo. Oh, not an eel, going for a Smeargle. Very interesting, actually. I thought he was gonna go for an eel for sure, but he decides to go for the Smeargle. Benches the Smeargle, probably switch. Yeah, plays a switch into the Smeargle, and then is going for the portrait. He's really just gunning for that, and he hits a Juniper for 7, but really just gunning for that knockout on the Mewtwo if he can hit it this turn. It's very possible with junk arms, you know, taking back switches. He's just trying to find a catcher, but it just didn't happen, unfortunately, for Chase. Yeah, so got some portrait Smeargles in the active. Kind of an interesting stalemate that Smeargles present with a 7-prize game. You know, you don't want to put a Mewtwo up to knock it out because then your Mewtwo's just going to get knocked, and then your opponent's not playing a 7-prize game and you are. But alternatively, you know, just leaving it up there is not really accelerating anything, especially against a deck like Eels, right? Like if you're both just portraiting, Eels is going to have a way stronger late game than you just because of how good Dynamotor is. And Trevor could hit a really solid hand off of this Juniper here. Depends what he's going to do. He's probably going to portrait first, keep the Juniper in the deck, and Chase has no supporters, so kind of unfortunate for Trevor, but at least he's still got that Juniper that he can maybe hit something off of. He's got to hit like switch catcher, and then he's kind of in a chill position here because he did hit that DC on the Mewtwo. But yeah, if he hits switch catcher, he's actually in a really decent spot here. So we'll see what he can hit off this Juniper. Goes in for the 7. I see a junk arm there. I didn't see the catcher though. Unless he's got one in the discard. It's not looking likely. He does have a switch in the discard because he switched earlier. However, that's not going to be super useful to him unless he's also got the catcher. Was really hoping to hit something off that portrait. You know, portrait and then another supporter usually makes your odds of hitting decently high. You know, you're seeing 6 cards to 13 cards depending, right? Like if you pawn for 6 and then you end for another 6, or Juniper for 7, that's like 12 or 13. So it's a lot of cards seen. Especially with junk arm, if you got some resources in your discard, the odds of finding what you need are pretty decent. But unfortunately, the fun part about Pokemon cards is also whiffing is a thing. So Trevor's thinking about using a junk arm here. Actually might take that back. Just giving her a little think, not too sure on what to do. missing the catcher here actually kind of sucks. If he hit the catcher, he would be in a really good spot, but just looking at Chase's board, right, like he's got a single prizer in the Zekrom, and then he's got the Mewtwo with 2 DCEs on it. Soon he's going to start charging to the other Mewtwo, and then even if the first one gets knocked out, he's going to have the counter knockout. We might have a Mewtwo war on our hands here pretty soon, which is really, really beneficial for Chase, just because Eels has a much better... So Chase drops the feels good man that Trevor whiffed the catcher. Definitely feels good. It's pretty big deal here that Trevor misses the catcher, and Chase is really a fan of that. But yeah, I mean, Chase's board just into the late game, like I was saying, Eels is just such an oppressive threat because of how good Dynamotor is. And honestly, Chase's board is just looking better as well. So if Trevor can't get something going here, oh, he's gonna go for the switch into the second portrait. I actually really like that because that lets oh, he just passes, but benches the Smeargle so he can promote it, I guess, which makes sense because he doesn't have the catcher in his hand. He might not have a supporter in his hand either. I don't remember off seeing his hand, but definitely not the most optimal turn for Trevor. But Chase is really chilling with that. If he's able to find a second eel this turn, then Chase is going to be in a really, really solid position here. And I think, yeah, he's just going to go for the junk arm, for the level ball, for the second eel. And now Chase's board is looking really, really chill. He's going to start accelerating to a second Mewtwo, whereas Trevor only has one Mewtwo on the board and no supporter cards. So he does bench that Smeargle because he knows that, you know, even with a random receiver, he gets one. His hand's not that great, so he's going to try to gun for that catcher, hopefully, next turn. And Chase is just going to start swinging with his Zekrom. So that's a really solid threat. And like I was saying, the one prize battle is just such a big deal because now this Zekrom is starting to put pressure on, and if Trevor doesn't deal with it somehow, the prize race is just going to fall out of his control. And that's one of the really solid parts about this deck. I mean, you have some really good single prize attacker options, and that makes it really weird when you're attacking in a Mewtwo war, right? Like, Trevor has some options. He can potentially just bring up the Mewtwo, swing, and knock. But also, that's not amazing because then he gets counter knocked and it's only for one prize. So then chases up 2 prizes on him, and that's just a really dicey position. And his board is just a lot worse too. So Trevor's able to find an N off that random receiver. Still no supporters in Chase's hand off the portrait, so that's really unfortunate for Trevor again. These 2 portrait whiffs have actually been really vital for Trev. If he just would have been able to find a catcher, he would have hit that junk arm and been fine, but not always the way Pokemon works, especially if you're Trevor Read playing against Chase Moloney. If you know, you know. I've played both of these players a lot, and to be super real, Chase is a luckier player than Trevor. He just tends to draw a little bit better than Trevor from what I've seen. And Trevor just like whiffs supporters a lot too. Like, I don't know, Trevor's just, he's not that lucky of a trading card game player. Some players just have the luck and some don't. So Trevor's gonna go in with this N here. Hit Chase down to 5, but it honestly doesn't really matter at this point. That's one of the big strengths of Eels is as soon as your board is set up, right? Like, he's got lightnings on the Zekrom, so if the Zekrom dies, he'll be able to counter KO with the Mewtwo, and then also be able to accelerate to another Mewtwo. So he's in a really chill position here. Yeah, so I don't know. Trevor's going to be a little bit hard-pressed to come back. Still very possible because Darkrai is a really oppressive deck as well. He just needs to start getting some Dark Patches off. He does have double Dark Patch and Catcher in hand, so he is going to be able to hit a Darkrai this turn, which is pretty chill. Luckily, Trevor was able to hit something off of this end, because if he whiffed here, this would have been pretty much doom for him. But he's kind of chilling right now. He's already had the attachment for turn, so he's got the DC on one Darkrai and then double Dark on the other, and he gets the counter KO with the Mewtwo, finds that catcher finally. So he's definitely still in this game, and this is actually kind of almost advantageous for Trevor now, because this is where the 7 prize game comes in, because Chase took a KO on a Smeargle, but if Trevor just forces EX prizes, I mean, I guess Chase can just catch the other Smeargle, but Trevor also has the option to super scoop up that other Smeargle later if that becomes a little bit of a liability for him closer to the end of the game. And you have to target the energy for sure, so Chase can't really just hit the Smeargle. That's definitely a misplay, and he knows that he has to attack this Mewtwo in the Mewtwo war, otherwise he's going to get in a decent spot of trouble pretty quick here. Promotes that Smeargle. Don't believe he gets a portrait off. Maybe I just missed that moment. Maybe he hit a portrait. But I'm pretty sure Trevor didn't have any supporter cards in his hand, yeah. Trevor goes for, oh, so Chase does go for a catcher of his own on the Smeargle. I actually am getting contradicted by Chase's play here because I'm not as good of an Eels player as him, obviously. He had that Zekrom, so he can still force Trevor into that 7-prize game, and he takes back the single prize, so now he's tied, and if Trevor goes ahead, he gets the counter KO, and then he's playing the 6-prize game, and Trevor's playing the 7, so really solid play here from Chase. Just really knows what he's doing with this deck. And he also drops a second Mewtwo, so Chase's board is looking, again, in just a really good position here, and even if this Zek gets knocked out, it doesn't really matter, because he's still got that Smeargle and 2 Mewtwo's and 2 Electrics on the bench, so Chase is in a really chill spot. Trevor alternatively also has a Darkrai going now, so he's going to be able to kill this Zekrom and then also put 30 on a Mewtwo, which is pretty good. Might also put 30 on an Eel, kind of depends on what the board is. He does have to take another 1-prize knockout, so we might be starting to set up for that later. You never know if you're going to be able to get 2 or 3 Darkrai's off. It's very possible that he gets another Night Spear or 2 off with this Darkrai, depending on what Chase has and what Trevor has too, right? Because you can always just go like if he's got a Shaman, he can go Celebration Wind, move it, or retreat, Celebration Wind, and then you have a fresh Darkrai that you're able to attack with that's not damaged. So we're going to see what Trevor's got here. And he goes up with a Mewtwo with an Eviolite. Kind of an interesting decision. Yeah. So he's going to be able to knock this Zekrom out. I guess he would have been able to knock the Zekrom out anyway, but going up with a Mewtwo, I'm not too sure about, just because he's only got 1 on the board. And also, I guess it depends on what's in his hand. He's got lots of dark patches in his hand. Or no, not dark patches. He's got an Eviolite and a Catcher and a Dark. And he gets End. So, yeah, I'm not too sure why the Mewtwo promote here was better, because Chase is just going to be able to go double Dynamotor. I guess it's forcing Chase to hit the energy, but Chase has the option to knock this out this turn, whereas the Darkrai, he didn't really have an option to knock out. So I'm not sure if this is better than the Darkrai. I'm sure Trevor will comment on why I don't know what I'm talking about and some of his logic behind his plays, if there's maybe a line of play that he had in mind that he was thinking about. So he does promote the Mewtwo here, and Chase is going to go double Dynamotor on the Mewtwo, retreat for free with Sky Arrow Bridge. Oh, no, he's not going to do that. He's maybe going to do something else. He's maybe thinking about benching the Raikou. Yeah, but he's not going to do that. He's going to go double... Whoop. Maybe he is. He's checking his resources here. Smart play from Chase. Just to be sure, this is the difference between top line players and A-list players. Is the top players are sure when they make a decision, or the top players are sure when they make a decision, and the A-list players are like, they're pretty sure, but they aren't as sure, I find. So Chase actually is checking the resources here and might actually go for the Raikou play, depending on what he's got, but I think the counter KO with Mewtwo, yeah, that just makes a lot more sense. Yeah, that makes sense. But you got to consider your options, right? Because you never know what the optimal play is, and it's best to just think out all your options. Even if the Raikou is the poor play, thinking it out to figure out that it's a poor play is, you got to figure that out first. So Trevor goes through the top deck, no supporters in hand, really dicey spot. Remember earlier in the video when I said Trevor doesn't get supporters, he's definitely got a bit of a supporter drought here, which is unfortunate for Trev. But he does at least have an attachment for turn, and he's got some stuff going on. He's probably just going to try to retreat around these 3 Darkrai. But yeah, I'm not sure. Like, if he had this Darkrai up last turn, you would be in a much better position here to be able to come back, because Chase wouldn't have got the counter knockout. So not too sure about that play there, but it just kind of opens the door for Chase here. Chase might have an option to win the game here. He's going to go for a random receiver, find a Juniper, probably the optimal card, because he probably just needs resources. If he finds like a switch and a DC, how many energies do you need here? So he's doing 100 damage right now. He needs another 4 energy on. So I don't know how many lightnings he's got in his discard pile. But yeah, he's got the DCE there. He just needs to find switch. And if he's got 2 lightnings in the discard, he can just take the game here. So we'll see if he can hit the nuts. He does have at least... You're going to see the discard, see how many lightnings. Oh, he does have lightnings from the Zekrom, yeah. 1 lightning, 2 lightnings. So he does have that option to hit. And with the Juniper, the odds of hitting that are pretty good. But we'll see if he can hit this turn, because he might just be able to take the game this turn. Benches the Raikou, and then goes for the Juniper Raikou. Really smart play, because if Trevor, if he whiffs the KO here, then he can just hit the Raikou snipe next turn unless Trevor hits a super scoop up. So he does hit this switch into double dynamo to retreat and knockout on the Darkrai. So well played from Chase and Trevor. Just a great game for these boys. This has been a matchup between Chase's Eels list, Seniors World Champion Eels list, and Igor Costa's first placed Pesadelo Prism list. If you have any questions about the decks or the video, feel free to leave them in the comments and I'll do my best to get to them. And also, we're doing a giveaway at 500 subs, so feel free to leave a subscribe if you are interested in that. We got lots of cool stuff: perlers, sleeves, pins, playmat, maybe. Yeah, so anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.